So, I was lying in my bed trying to fall asleep, but there's too many thoughts racing through my head and I want to share them. To make it clear once and for all what I'm about and why I set strong boundaries with certain people and why I intentionally am an arrogant bitch sometimes. So one thing, this is kind of addressing all those people who might feel hurt by my boundaries or for some reason don't understand what I am all about and why I am on the internet talking about certain topics and being explicit in the fact that certain relationships don't work for me. One question is, who are you to decide what love should look like? And I don't want to claim that I'm an embodiment of love, but I kind of do want to claim that also at the same time. Because I do know where I come from. And people are scared when they see me in this attitude of really knowing why I say the things I say or do the things I do, and they perceive of it as arrogance. And I understand, because I find it funny when I'm just coming from clarity and fully standing in my own knowing, and it just scares the shit out of them. And I'm sorry, but I find it funny, and this apparently comes across as a very arrogant attitude, but it has nothing to do with meaning bad. It has nothing to do with valuing myself over them, because I know that each and every person on this planet is an embodiment of the divine in their own right and in their own perfection. And each and every one of us has a path laid out before them to walk that embodiment, and each and every one of us is unique in how we are supposed to embody divinity. And when I'm saying that I'm here as a conduit for divinity, the only difference between me and certain other people is that I've become quite aware of that in the last few years, because I've been on spiritual practices that taught me the wisdom of how to access that part of myself more and become more aware of it, and thus consciously engage with it and put it into the world. And in fact, it has been my intention ever since I discovered this part of myself to share this with the world, because it is the most valuable thing that I've ever come across. And it's hard to put this in words. You can receive it as a transmission. It can wake up inside of yourself. And if you see that part of you, yourself, your own divinity, then everything will fall into place and everything will become clear. But as long as that doesn't happen, I'm just an arrogant bitch standing in my own truth and hurting people for no reason whatsoever. So it's kind of hard to explain to unconscious people that I mean well in the utmost best sense of meaning well. And I don't want to convince people or impose certain ways of seeing things onto you. It's not that I'm trying to get you to change your mind. Well, it's funny how paradoxical all of this is, because in some way I am trying to get you to change your mind, and I'm trying to get you in touch with your own divinity. Because I know for myself, from my own experience, that you have it. I see you in your full divinity, and it is that part of you that I'm speaking to. Even when I'm setting strong boundaries, or maybe saying and doing things that make you feel unworthy or make you feel emotionally turbulent. And especially if I don't respond with emotional turbulence, people tend to think, or they just become a little bit distrustful, because it's scary to see someone who is so sure of themselves, kind of untouched by other people's opinions and emotional outings that can be strong. And for some time in my life, this hasn't been true for me. I was in touch with divinity, with higher consciousness, developing this, being very much on the path of discovering all of this. But now it's kind of anchored into my being to such an extent where I just trust that. And it is the baseline of my life. It is the only thing that I live for and from. And I'm not willing to give that up and fit into some kind of socially appropriate version of self. And I'm not willing to fit into another version than what I am. For one reason is because it's just cooler and more fun to be myself, and I enjoy being myself, and I don't have the emotional attachment anymore to how people perceive of me. And I can experience emotions around how people perceive of me. I don't want people to feel hurt as a consequence of what I'm doing or saying. But attachment means I'm not gonna drown in it. And if I feel those things, I have my ways of just letting the feeling be and still live my life and do my life the way I want to do it. Because I want to be true to myself and I want to be truthful in all of my relationships. The second reason that I'm not willing to step into a socially appropriate version of myself, and I'd rather be considered arrogant and crazy and all of that nonsense, is it is actually beneficial to the people around me. No matter how much resistance they may feel, no matter how much pain it sometimes causes, and of course we have to be careful there, I'm not intentionally causing anyone pain, I'm just staying in myself, and sometimes this brings up strong emotional experiences in other people. The reason that strong emotional experiences are brought up is there is something to process there. And there is something that wants to be seen and become conscious. And the reason it wants to be seen and become conscious is it makes you more free. You will become more free once you actually go through that experience and know that this kind of pain doesn't make you die. And you're still here and you can still choose to be joyful, and you gain some kind of distance from what would usually pull you into a big wave of emotion. And maybe people don't want to become like me exactly, but I think on some level they can perceive that it is worthwhile standing in your freedom, and in actual freedom, not the type of freedom where you make decisions and then are in your own space regretting them and feeling small and feeling hurt and whatever. No, the type of freedom where you can make those decisions and actually stand by them and stand in yourself and follow through on your own intuition, on your own opinions, on your own standards. And even if other people judge that, or they wrong you for it, or whatever comes your way in response to you standing in yourself, it doesn't actually do that much anymore. There's this posture in yogic science called Vajrasana, and it means diamond. So it's basically just sitting on your knees. And this posture helps you develop emotional containment and emotional stability. So if you sit in that posture while being in a strong wave of emotion, the posture will help you settle your nervous system, and eventually the emotion will most probably just disappear after some time. I'm not sure why this is coming up right now, but it's part of one of my practices to sit in that posture. And maybe just because I feel like a diamond in that sense. It's like I have empathy for people. I feel their fear, I feel their pain, I feel their hurt. I don't want them to be scared and in pain or sad or left out or insecure or any of those things. And me not wanting them to be in that does not exclude the possibility of me causing those experiences in them. It's quite the opposite. My intention of wanting all people to be free and to be joyful and to stand in themselves without the burden of any of those kinds of emotional tear downs. It is that intention which comes through in my relationships and actually makes those people experience all these kinds of emotions. Because as long as these emotions roam in our subconscious, we are tied to them and we are ruled by them, and our whole reality is based off of running away from the experience of these emotions. So they are within us, they rule our behaviors because we don't want to feel them. We don't want to experience the fear of someone leaving us. We don't want to experience the pain of feeling insecure about our own value. We don't want to feel like someone might be willing to give up a relationship to pursue something they find more important than the relationship to us if we in some way are trying to keep them away from achieving that. And now it seems like I'm saying that people are keeping me away from achieving what I want. That is not at all the case, but it's just that people have their conscious beliefs about why I set boundaries in a relationship, and then they have their unconscious beliefs. And the unconscious beliefs that I am in correspondence with, because I feel and perceive them on a different level, the unconscious beliefs are usually more of the category of fear and insecurity and feeling unworthy. And so if I set a boundary, somewhere deep down, it makes them feel unworthy and it hurts them and it makes them feel unseen or unimportant or whatever it is. And that is why they respond with strong emotions. And the conscious thought patterns that are coming forth and being projected within that relationship or conversation are more of the kind like, you cannot do this and it is wrong, moral judgments, or I care about you and I know that this is not going to end well if you do this to people, or these types of projections where either it is made about me and my well-being and their care for me becomes a way of expressing that they're dissatisfied with my boundary, or just some kind of moral imposition on how I should be or look at the world or what the consequences will be of my actions. And it is true. All of our actions have consequences, all of our actions ripple out, and not even our actions alone. Even our thoughts, our emotions, the entire way we exist and hold ourselves on this planet ripples out, and we get to bear the consequences of that. But I am quite conscious about the consequences that I choose in my life, and I'm not afraid to face any of the consequences. And what a lot of people have missed about me in the past 3 years is that I've gone through a lot of emotional turmoil. And I've gone through a lot of pain and hurt and dragging myself through the mud and digging deep into myself, digging up all of those unconscious beliefs and pain points. And a lot of people have hurt me, but I've never actually put it onto them or held them responsible for any of that pain, because I've seen that I am the one creating this. I am the one creating mental turmoil. I am the one blaming someone else for my inability to accept them exactly the way they are. And that is what the meaning of love is. The ability to accept someone exactly the way they are and embrace them. And I can already hear the opposition's thoughts be like, well, then why do you need to shut people out of your life? I don't. And I don't shut anyone out. I'm just being honest about my life's experience. So when I say I'm not interested in this type of contact anymore, it doesn't mean I'm shutting someone out. I'm just saying my truth. I'm just declaring myself the way I experience, the way I am. And the other side has freedom in how they respond to that statement, how they respond to me, what kind of beliefs they cook up in their own head about their value, about the nature of our connection, about the openness of our literal communication connection. So I try to convey to people that I'm always open for conversation, but not willing to adapt myself to standards that I don't hold. And I'm not willing to hold myself back, and I'm not willing to fake myself, and I'm not willing to hold back what I feel, see, perceive, think, believe. I stand in myself exactly the way I am, and people can take it or leave it. The problem is their subconscious hijacks that statement, and they cannot see it clearly anymore. So they start believing that I look down on them, or I don't love them or value their presence in my life, or don't value what they have given me, or I don't value their whatever it is that they want to be valued for and subconsciously don't believe they're valuable for. It becomes like a catalyst for bringing up all of the emotions about that and all of the negative self-talk and all of the things that we don't want to experience. So basically, the reason I'm making this video is to potentially soften the perspective on the experiences that these people might be going through, and declare that I come from love, and that in wanting people to see their own inner turbulence, we're actually laying out the path for inner peace. And it is not up to me whether people are going to choose that or not. It is not up to me to force anyone into self-awareness, and it is not up to me to show anyone the truth, because truth can only come from within. And my lived and experienced truth is just as valuable as anyone else's. I'm not above and beyond any other being on this planet experiencing their life. I'm just aware of who and what I am. I'm aware of certain, I want to say dimensions, but it's not even that. I'm just conscious of what is going on within me. I've seen myself. I have seen the mental patterns, the way I operate, and I've started cleaning up myself, which is why I am not so responsive anymore. I'm less easy to shake. I'm more like a mountain. Not invincible, I'm still human. But I'm not so easily caught up in emotions. I can be joyful. Whatever happens in my life, I can be joyful. I can spread love. Whatever happens in my life, I can navigate very difficult situations and contacts with all sorts of people in a way that feels appropriate to me. And all of these things are the freedom that I would like for other people to have. And I've really wished for myself to become a conduit and in service of bringing that freedom to other people's lives. And many spiritual beings have helped me in finding that freedom in myself. And as I said, it has come with a lot of pain and a lot of shame and fear and anger and processing such deep stuff that it's like I'm happy that I wasn't too online in those times, because it's beautiful going through that process, but it is pure fire and it burns you up and it makes you feel all alone in the world, and it shows you all the deepest, darkest aspects of self. And anyways, even, or most especially, the people who hold a very high frequency and very high consciousness and who have the ability to do transmission of divine consciousness and make that seed of divinity sprout inside of you, who make that consciousness of divinity open up inside of yourself, especially those people have hurt me. And they haven't hurt me because they wanted to hurt me. They have just hurt me because they are a reflection. They show you with their own light everything inside of yourself that needs to be cleaned up and cleared out, and that wants to be seen and felt and understood, in order for you to end up with the knowing of your divine consciousness, in which there is bliss and freedom and a life experience of pure joy. So that is the end game. That is where you're going to. That's where you're getting at. But the process towards it isn't always nice. Becoming conscious of ourselves and of all the consequences of how we think and the actions we've taken that are still playing out inside of our own consciousness, that's not always pleasant. And that's the funny thing, which you can learn through Vipassana and also various other meditation practices. But in Vipassana, this is most clearly laid out and described by the Buddha and Goenka, that everything we have ever done to avoid ourselves and to avoid any kind of emotional experience or thought or self-awareness, everything we have tried to put into our subconscious, it is still playing out there. It is still ruling our lives. We cannot ever escape the consequences of our way of being. We hold it within ourselves. And once we start meditating, or once experiences come up, people think that a spiritual path is about becoming peaceful and bathing in divine love and being accepting of everyone and everything. And on some level that is true, but that is not what it's going to look like when you're in the process. But because in order to actually become free and to actually become uninhibited and to actually become able to accept things, circumstances, people, just as they are, without allowing yourself to go crazy about it, it requires this cleansing process in which all of the emotional responsiveness, reactiveness, all of the soup of self, the soup that we have created in our own minds and hearts, all of the, I want to say disgusting, but it's more the disgust, all of the aversion that we have created in ourselves, it comes up. So literally every single thing you have ever tried to repress will come up. And that is a painful process. It's called awakening, and it comes with ultimate beauty as well. Because after each one of these cleansing experiences where there's just something coming up and you cannot run away from it anymore, you gain a little bit of freedom, and you gain a little bit of joy, and you gain a little bit of heart opening in a way that you would not have imagined possible before the happening and the occurrence of this process. So best of luck to you, and I send you a lot of love. I genuinely love you, whoever it is receiving this message right now. I genuinely love you, and I wish for you to be free within yourself, to be able to love yourself always, regardless of the circumstances, regardless of how the outer world perceives of you. I wish for you to be able to be that free that you can love yourself through each and every moment in your life. And I wish for you to understand that if currently your awakening process, your process of becoming more self-aware and more conscious feels painful, that you may know and trust that it is leading you into greater light and into greater realms of self-consciousness and into an awareness of your own divinity and the divinity of everything at large, which is the fruit of life and that which will make you feel the bliss of your very existence in every single moment of your life, and thereby give you the ability to be a free floating bird, a blossoming flower, a drop of sunshine onto your own tongue, into your skin, into your heart, into your toenails, fingernails. Your whole body will come alive with a new kind of vibrance and brilliance that you haven't imagined possible. Your heart will overflow and you will be smiling at every single thing that happens in your life. And people will perceive of you as arrogant because you have the ability to be smiling when someone is crying. But it is a smile of knowing that that someone is waking up to something deeper, more valuable, and more undeniably free.